World, China and, Ukraine and Russia are not doing what they usually do, so everything's going up. We saw today's inflation data. 70% of the increase in prices in March came from Putin's price hike in gasoline. We need to address this challenge with an urgency to demand. And that's not hyperbole. It's about being made in America. A lot of that has to do with this industry. I just had a chance to see...
Do yourself a favor right now, click on the link in the description, grab my code, and get a massive discount on this ultra bright rechargeable survival flashlight. You can hang it on any metal surface, it's durable, the charge lasts forever, you don't need batteries because it's powered by the sun or with a wall outlet. You can use it to charge your cell phone from 0 to 100%. It's got multiple emergency flashing modes plus a shop light function. There's a glass breaker, a seatbelt cutter, a compass, and an emergency siren. Guys, this thing is frickin' bright. Grab one while you can. The link's in the description. As Shanghai enters week 2 of strict COVID lockdowns, a video has gone viral on social media showing frustrated residents screaming from windows from their high-rise apartment buildings. In what looks like a scene from a dystopian horror movie, it appears that the government responded to the window screaming by sending a drone playing a message instructing the residents to keep quiet and comply with restrictions. I mean, think about this, guys. 25 million people are on lockdown in the world's 3rd largest city, and they're complying with the extreme terrorism to the point where they're going hungry from lack of food delivery promised to them by their oppressive government. 25 million people just doing what they're told by a government that clearly despises them. Watch CNN promote this oppression in their little PSYOP segment here.
Never expect to see people in Shanghai, China's most affluent and cosmopolitan city, screaming for food. We are starving, they yell. But after weeks-long COVID lockdown with no promised end, desperation. One community volunteer recording the home of an elderly woman. She says neighbors heard the 90-year-old shouting help for 3 days, pleading for food. Her fridge, empty. Volunteers were finally able to get her a meal. China's central government now in charge of managing Shanghai's COVID outbreak. In a month's time, the daily case count went from double digits to more than 26,000. A Shanghai city leader choked up at a news conference over the weekend, apologizing to Shanghai's more than 25 million residents for failing to meet expectations and promising improvements. Those of us living here kept to our homes. CNN, the only U.S. TV network with a team living through the lockdown. In my community, we're only allowed out when summoned by workers using a megaphone, and when dark out, a flashlight. Getting a late evening now request to go get a COVID test. My neighbors and I line up, ready for health workers to scan our QR codes, which link the results to our ID. Night or day, the testing is constant. Someone in the community tested positive, so they'll test now each of us once again. We can also leave the house to line up for government distributions or to get approved deliveries, usually the most exciting part of the day. What looks to be vacuum-sealed pork, and then several boxes of traditional Chinese medicines. A bunch more face masks, a box that has a bunch of fresh fruit. On top, they have some frozen meat, and then 2 antigen kits. Food deliveries this plentiful are rare, so most of us spend our mornings trying to order groceries online, but orders sell out quickly. Not enough delivery drivers to get through the lockdown barriers. Communities like mine resorting to group buys. We come together in chat groups and try to source food directly from suppliers in bulk. Neighbors helping neighbors is a common theme across the city. We found a safe drop spot to trade. Cheese for oranges. Our community's volunteers help us source food where they can, though they too are exhausted and hungry. From above, you see this metropolis, quiet, eerily empty. But on the ground, there are tragedies shared daily online. This man recording his father, who says he's unable to get admitted to a hospital in the strained system. His dad later died, he says. In this video, a neighbor capturing the wailing of a heartbroken woman, crying out that her loved one had died because of the lockdown. And this video sparked outrage on Chinese social media. It shows a worker in a hazmat suit brutally killing a pet corgi because local officials worried that it might have carried the virus. The owner was in government quarantine. All of this is a result of China's zero COVID policy, a directive from the top. President Xi Jinping on Friday praising China's zero COVID approach. State media echoing a glowing narrative, showing an orderly mobilization in Shanghai with an abundant food supply and rapid construction of more than 100 makeshift hospitals with capacity to treat more than 160,000 people infected. But patients taken to those government quarantine centers, sharing a very different reality online, posting videos of unsanitary conditions and people using isolation facilities still under construction. Some seen frantically running at distribution sites, scrambling for food and blankets. The uncertainty leaving this man broken, doing the unthinkable, questioning the leadership aloud, asking, where is the Communist Party?
And that's how easy it is to control an unarmed population. The city's 25 million residents are prohibited from leaving their homes during the lockdown, and it's become increasingly difficult to purchase food. Most residents have been ordering food through delivery apps or through government delivery rations, but actually getting that food has proved difficult because of the high demand. And the lack of food isn't the only thing prompting people in Shanghai to yell from their balconies in protest of the continued lockdowns. Residents say they're more frightened of China's COVID-0 measures than of the virus itself. And check out this news article from CNN. Georgia governor signs bill allowing most residents to carry a concealed gun without a permit. Now, the wording is very important here. If someone can allow you or grant you permission to do something you already have the natural right to do anyway, what you've got here is an attempt to indoctrinate the masses into thinking that others can legitimately control your freedoms. They can't. Besides, isn't this so-called bill or law a pathetic redundancy? Isn't firearms possession an inalienable right recognized by and codified in the Second Amendment? What does anybody even need this law for? Georgia's Republican Governor Brian Kemp signed a bill into law Tuesday that makes it legal for most residents to carry a concealed firearm without a license. Oh, thank you, Overlord Kemp, for making it legal and granting us permission. The measure, which supporters call constitutional carry, passed the legislature April 1st and allows anyone who is previously eligible for a concealed carry license in Georgia to begin carrying a concealed handgun without a permit. I hate it when governments act like it's doing us a favor. It's like saying, okay, we're going to make it legal now for you to breathe and walk down the street. Thanks, but no thanks. I don't need your permission. The new law allows Georgia citizens, guys, you're not a citizen, you're a human being with inalienable rights, quote, to protect themselves without having to have permission from your state government, Kemp said at a signing ceremony. This is psychopathy. Look, you don't need our permission anymore, little children. We've decided to give you a little more freedom. Ain't we nice? They say Georgia is now one of more than 20 states that allow permitless carry, according to data compiled by Everytown for Gun Safety, a nonprofit that focuses on violating your rights. Georgia's law does not apply to people who are barred from handgun ownership for other reasons, such as minors and convicted felons who have not had their rights restored. It still bans guns in airports and secured government buildings, which means they criminalize people in those areas who carry a firearm to protect themselves. Controversial permitless carry laws have gained momentum during this year's legislative sessions in several states, including Wisconsin, South Carolina, Indiana, and Nebraska. In March, Alabama Governor Kay Ivey signed a similar bill, and Ohio Governor Mike DeWine signed legislation that would allow adults to carry a concealed handgun without a license or training. Kemp, who's running for re-election this year, that's why he did it. amid criticism from former President Donald Trump, used the concealed carry law Tuesday to put his conservative credentials on display. I have no doubt that the left will come out against us like they have before. Law enforcement officials and advocacy groups nationwide have been sounding the alarm about the policy's safety risks. Because it's a safety risk if we allow the peasants to own personal protection devices, right? The rash of legislation comes amid an increase in gun violence. There's no such thing as gun or scissor or bat or inanimate object violence, and homicides after homicides spiked in 2020. And check out how this typical prostitute article ends. On the same day the bill became law, a subway passenger in New York shot 10 people and several others were injured. As though there's any link in the two events. These people are pathetic. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comment section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know, and don't forget to subscribe to my private email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. I'll see you in the next video. With all the crazy stated plans of the Great Reset, the currency reset, and even the food reset, it's not a matter of if the store shelves are going to clear and there's a lack of food. The question is when. You need to get long-term storable food. It doesn't matter if it's from me or you just go to the store and you buy food. Just grab dry, storable food while you can. If you want to get it from me, you're going to support the channel and you're going to help yourself out because my link has a discount code embedded within it. You can check that out in the description below.